The Order of Light presents We Are the Disclosure, Episode 2, with our special guest, Vanessa Crystal Consciousness, as we talk and explore the extraterrestrial phenomena. Now is the time for those with experiences to speak. We are not waiting for the disclosure. We are the disclosure.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Earl White.
And I'm Josh Miota.
And this is our special guest, Vanessa.
And together,
we are the disclosure. How's it going, everyone? Hello, Vanessa. How are you? Glad you're here. Glad to have you. Welcome to the second episode of We Are the Disclosure, where we are allowing those with experiences of the extraterrestrial, paranormal, and many other subjects as well to come on here and share their experiences. And with that being said, Vanessa, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from and your little bio and what you're doing on the TikTok and the YouTubes?
Yeah, absolutely. So for one, I'm very honored you're having me on. So thank you. So I am a professional psychic medium, and I run a pretty big TikTok channel, not that big, but big enough, where I talk about my experiences, where I read for clients. I also have galactic spirit guides, and I help people communicate with their star families and their galactic guides. And I also do Starseed origins for people. So if you're ever curious, I coach people on my channel about how to figure it out yourself, and I'm happy to explain that if you guys are interested. But I can also check your Akashic records and tell you exactly where you're from as well. So
that's amazing, and that's a big question to a lot of people, no doubt about it. So I'm sure you're pretty active. So with that being said, along with all of those, things that you're doing, and you're obviously well connected and tapped in, when did you start to become aware of, your abilities and your capability to be able to pick up on these things? How did it all start for you?
Okay. So when I was very little, I permanently thought when you relaxed, you saw auras around everyone. Like, I remember going to kindergarten, and I'd just relax, and I'd see all the colors around my teacher, because I thought just whenever you relaxed, I thought everyone saw that. So I'd come home and tell my mom, and she'd be like, "You're crazy." I also talk to beings. I talk to spirits. I talk to my guides, and I talk to spirits all the time. And one time, my mom comes in the room. I was probably 5, and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" I was like, "Oh, it's my friend Ghosty," is what I called her. And she's like, "Ghosty isn't real." And I was like, "Yes, she is. She moves stuff. Here, Ghosty, close the door." And my door slammed shut. And my mom,
in front of your mom,
in front of my mom, and my mom screamed so loud and freaked out so much. And she's like, "You're talking to demons. Never do that again. Stop. Don't talk to them. They're bad." And she scared me. She scared me so bad because she reacted so crazy. Mm-hmm. So I tried suppressing it after that. I tried not seeing spirits, talking to spirits, and I cut it out for a while until I was about 10, 11, when my spirit guides started kind of talking to me when I was relaxed. So if I had an interaction with someone, say I wasn't very nice to my brother, when I was done not being nice to my brother and I'd be relaxing, my spirit guide would just be like, "Oh, you could have been a different way. You could have been more understanding." She'd kind of coach me and be like, "Oh, he's going through his struggles. He's hurt," that sort of thing. So my spirit guide started trickling back in when I was 10, 11. And then by the time I was 12, I ended up leaving our church we were in, because I decided, I was like, I don't think demons would be telling me how to be a better person all the time. So I don't think I'm wrong. I think maybe your organized religion is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
then
would you call, for example, these communications, many people, they call it their inner voice. And
Mm-hmm.
do you think a lot of people that possibly their inner voice could be much more than that?
Absolutely. I do a big thing. I'm teaching a psychic skills workshop next month. One of the biggest thing showing my clients is to differentiate between your thoughts and your guide's thoughts, because sometimes they sound in the same voice in your head between you and your higher self. And so I have like a bunch of exercises where you can kind of quiet that chatter mind. And when your mind is kind of blank through meditation, or some people like to do like yoga, when your mind is kind of blank or you're relaxed and you aren't like thinking all your chatter mind, when it's kind of quiet, when something comes in, when you're absolutely not thinking that thought, that's usually your higher self. And that's great. How you can start to kind of distinguish there.
And you also said this was always happening at relaxed states.
Yes.
Always relaxed.
Yes.
So please continue. That's very useful for the watchers and listeners. Thank you.
So the reason why your guides can mostly communicate with you when you're relaxed is because guides are a certain frequency. So imagine this is day-to-day normal human frequencies about right here, right? And some people are born with everybody has a different frequency, right? We all have different bodies, we all have different souls, we all have a different frequency. So say this is the line where this is kind of normal human interaction, and then this is more like the soul realm. It's all about vibrational bandwidth. So what you can do is, some people who are born a little bit psychic, you're born naturally, just your natural tuning, you're kind of on this line. And so you just naturally kind of you're in that bandwidth a little bit where you can encounter the spirit world. Some people are born down here and they just naturally don't have the genetics, don't have the predisposition, where they're not naturally in that range. But anyone, through meditation, you can use meditation to exactly change your mental frequency, your vibration. And anyone can choose to find calm, relaxed states. Usually when you start getting into theta, especially, which is a brainwave state that we're usually in when we're sleeping, or you can get into it through meditation, that's when you start surpassing this bandwidth and you start being able to pick up on the beings that are here instead of just here.
Yes. Josh and we're in the lower bandwidth. We got to work really, really hard. We got to work. We're like a trout swimming upriver, but you're giving people hope. It don't matter what frequency you're at. There's always a way to raise your frequency and your vibrations.
Absolutely.
To get in tune with your higher self, and also, with spirit guides. So continue with your personal story. And before we go, do you have any questions pertaining, Josh, to what she just said?
Growing up with this, was there much of a burden? Did your parents ever start to accept it?
Yeah, so my dad was all about it. I used to say stuff when I was very little. Yeah, my dad he's like, ever since when I was little, he's like, you're psychic. Like, I used to tell him stuff that he's like, there's no way you could have known that when I was really little. I used to just like read stuff, or I'd be like, there's a woman behind you, and I describe her, and he's like, that's my grandmother, she's dead. Like,
wow.
So my dad wasn't very religious. My mom was very Christian. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but sometimes they have a thing against psychics. But my dad was all about it. He's like, you are so gifted. I was like, thank you, Dad. But growing up, I guess the only thing that was kind of hard was people around me didn't see everything I saw. So especially when I was really little, trying to explain, people were like, you're weird.
Yeah. I'm seeing rainbows around people. Whoa, you stay away from me. But no, you're seeing in a different spectrum. You're able to see the energy. You're seeing through a higher vibration of frequency. Yeah. And that's how you're picking up on these things. And you didn't know it was any different. Wow. Now, and what's really strange is, I have a lot of people that come forward with their stories, and generally it's the father that is the one where it's like, it's all BS, it's not real. My question with that being is, did your father have some abilities?
I was going to ask the same thing.
I mean,
you know what's funny? I think I get my psychicness from my mom's side, to be honest. My little brother sees auras too. My mom's pretty psychic. She doesn't like to admit it, but she's pretty psychic too. But no, my dad, my dad's a Pleiadian Starseed, by the way. He's always just been like, yeah, I think aliens exist. Like, he just has always been like, yeah, I feel like the government's corrupt. Like, he just kind of sees through it.
He's free.
Yeah.
Free spirit, free mind, and he just rolls with it. He just goes, okay, that's it. That's awesome. So, continue with
of
your story of, meeting these guides and the first big interaction,
So, I started, so when I was younger, when I talk about hearing my guides, it was usually when I was only very relaxed, and it was more subtle. It was more like, it's like downloads, like hints of what you should be doing, words maybe, in my head, because I'm a clairvoyant, so this is all happening inside my head. But so I heard them when I was a kid and when I was like a teenager, but I didn't hear them quite as well as I hear them now, because I've done like 13 years of meditation, and I hear them like very clearly, like conversationally now. Like, we can have full-on conversations, but I had to work up to that. So just for everyone out there who's like, yeah, I get like dreams about stuff, and I want to be more psychic, you can if you work for it. So my main spirit guide, I wanted to meet her because she talks to me all the time, and by college I'd started meditating a lot. I started kind of looking into the occult a little bit, protection stuff, and so I was like protecting myself at her behest. She was like, you need to have protection when you do this. She explained to me about a lot of stuff. After about a year of solidly meditating, like really hardcore, and getting really into my spirituality, I was about 20, I want to say. This was like 12 years ago. I sat on my bed one day and I was like, I want to meet you guys. Like, introduce yourselves. I want to meet you. I want to know what you look like. I want to know your names. Like, I was getting so frustrated because I was like, you talk to me and I don't know who you are. I'd ask and like they don't respond. So anyway, I'm mad one day. I'm like, I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna meditate. Y'all introduce yourselves, or I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna wait. I'll meditate for 3 days. I don't care. So anyway, I sit on my bed and I meditate. And I meditated and meditated for like 45 minutes, I want to say. And for everyone out there who meditates, that's a long time to meditate. It's not like crazy, but like that is a lot of meditation. So it was about 45 minutes. And all of a sudden, it happened in a quick moment. All of a sudden, I wasn't on my bed anymore. I was in this bright, bright room. And before I could even think or comprehend that I was like, I'm in a new place, this beautiful, beautiful blonde woman. She had blonde hair, same color as this actually, down to like here. Blonde, straight hair. She's taller than me because I'm like 5'6", so she's obviously taller than me. I think she's like 5'11" or like 6 foot.
Tall. For a woman. Tall.
For a woman. She's tall and she's beautiful. She had a long face. She had kind of big eyes, really pretty big eyes. And she's wearing this blue outfit, this light blue outfit. And she walks right up to me and goes, "Hi, I'm Reina." And then she's like, "I'm your spirit guide," telepathically. She was like downloading that to me. She's like, "I'm your spirit guide." And I could just feel her warmth and her love. And like, it was so friendly. But I'm not going to lie, guys. All of a sudden, I was in this other room. It's bright. This woman walks up to me and goes, "Hi, I'm Reina." And I freaked out. I freaked out so much. I jumped. And I was like, what the hell was that? And all of a sudden I was back on my bed and I was like, what was that?
You weren't relaxed and calm anymore. And
I wasn't relaxed.
You lost.
I freaked out and I was out. I was back on my bed and I was just like, I was beside myself. I was like, why is my spirit guide a supermodel? Like, why is my spirit guide this beautiful blonde woman? I couldn't wrap my head around it. I talked to my roommates. I was like, guys, my spirit guide is a blonde woman and she's beautiful. And, at the time I'd actually never heard of Pleiadians. This was like 12 years ago. It wasn't like the hot topic or anything.
Nope.
I'd never seen them. I'd never heard of them. So anyway, that's how I met, Reina, my Pleiadian spirit guide. And
that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's honestly like, I know so many people are like, I'm really glad that I met her and saw her before I even knew what Pleiadians were, because it gave me so much confirmation. When I saw like artist depictions of Pleiadians, and I was like, That's her. That's exactly her. It was such like a great confirmation for me. And I think my guides did that specifically. Like, they didn't answer me directly. They wanted me to have this vision of her and know what she looks like, to give me that, like, I have like 100% certainty that I have a Pleiadian spirit guide, because I met her before I even knew what Pleiadians were, you know?
Absolutely.
And she was setting me up to do this work I do now. So it was just really great confirmation, I guess.
And when you became afraid and you were cut from this, you came back to everything, and you were having this realization, like, well, that's not normal. And this was the first time that you, like, within a meditative state, saw, a guide in general. Before, you just heard it. You just heard the chatter, but when chatter is chatter, unless you know the name and the face behind it, right?
Totally.
There's no way to know who it is, and if they're not telling you specifically. So after that happened, you were afraid, but were you able to reconnect? How did you go about that experience? Did you take a break for a while and then kind of come to terms and get back to it?
Well, I kind of calmed myself down after about like 5 minutes talking to my roommate, and I was like, actually, that was really cool. That was awesome. That's exactly what I asked for. So I kind of calmed myself down, and like, I felt, because when you have telepathic communication with someone, you can't misunderstand them. It's not like Earth words, which are limited, where I could say something and you could take it a certain way, right? When you have telepathic communication, she literally sent to me how she feels about me, and it was so warm, it was so loving, that I was like, with telepathic communication, you know how someone feels. Like, you feel it in your soul. So I was like, okay, she's not harmful. She's my main spirit guide. So it wasn't even long after that Reina chimed in. And since I'd met her, for some reason, because we had that energy exchange, I recognized her energy immediately. So I know when it's Reina talking to me.
You recognize the emotion, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is an excellent way to describe telepathy. You can't hide with telepathy. You feel the emotion along with the message. It's not even necessarily words sometimes. It's an emotional message and feeling, and with words loosely associated with it, just for comprehension purposes. But absolutely, that's amazing.
A funny thing I do with my students to teach them telepathy is a lot of us say things that we don't, like, we say them, but we're not putting emotion behind it. And you could be saying something and thinking something totally different. So when I have my students practice telepathy, I'm like, think about when you talk to your dog. So your dog makes you do telepathic communication with him, because when you talk to your dog, if you're just like off, or down, or no, and you don't put the emotion behind it, the dog doesn't listen. So when you talk to your dog and you're like, I love you, you're actually sending that emotion to the dog, because the dog only responds to that. So the dog trains you to use telepathic communication.
You're absolutely right. Josh,
Interesting, right?
Have you ever thought about that? But she's spot on.
In a way. Can I ask a couple questions, Rob?
Yeah, go ahead. Knock it out.
Do you just have one spirit guide, or do you have many?
I have a few regular ones, but I notice everyone, you kind of have like at least one or two your whole life. And then certain guides come for different reasons at different points in your life when you kind of need them, is what I notice. So I've worked with many guides, but I have 3 main ones.
Has you ever spoke to one that you didn't feel like you could trust?
No.
No.
So when you're talking to your own guides, it's such a place of safety. Your own soul family, your own guides. I put up such protections, especially whenever I do meditations or I try to connect, where I pull up my Merkaba light body, best, most protective light body you can use. Get yourself a little Merkaba, picture what it looks like, create it around you. That is good. And then I do I extend my light from my body all the way through my whole room. So it's like my aura is in my whole room. So nothing can enter my space that's not allowable within my space. So I've actually never had a guide that I couldn't trust.
Okay.
But great question, though.
And that with being, you said that you were a medium. Do you also see like ghosts?
I do in my mental screen. I see spirits. I also see people's galactic guides. I see it all in my mental screen inside my head. Like, if anyone's kind of wondering what that's like, if I asked you right now to picture a red apple in your head, you can, right? And now picture it's a green apple. And now picture it spinning. Right? That is the mental screen. I also do remote viewing. So that's the remote viewing screen. I do most of my work. I feel like I'm a psychic medium, but I remote view people's galactic past lives, Earth past lives. So that's the screen I use.
Yes,
Awesome.
Josh knows. I've used that example a lot when I tell people you want to remember, close your eyes, think of your favorite park as a kid. Imagine that park. It's the same way when people say they have visions and memories come back to them. It's the same filters. I like that you call it a screen because it's not really there. It is a screen. It's a mental screen. It's a beautiful way of describing it. Josh, do you have any more questions?
Could you, for like our older audience, just explain Starseed a little bit? Because
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll give an example. So my spirit guide Reina is from a planet called Era in the Pleiades star system from the star Taygeta. So it's a planet that she's told me we're from for a very long time. And so she told me that my soul actually originated in Lyra, and then I moved to and lived most of my lives in the Pleiades before coming to this Earth body. So a starseed is actually, some of us walking around on this planet, some of our souls started out from Gaia, from Earth's soul matrix, from Earth's energy kind of spawned our creation. But some of us, our souls come from other planets in the solar system, and we decided to travel here and kind of imbibe these Earth bodies.
Now, how do those, star souls, we'll call them star souls, just for everyone, how do they get here from these other places?
So, I'll just give an example from my work. So I've seen many starseeds, and I've seen many of their past lives, and to be perfectly honest, maybe a little bit more than half of the starseeds I pull up have a lot of Earth lives. So that means that they actually came down during like Lemuria, Atlantean times. Some of them came down in the start of like India. Some of them came down in like ancient Sumeria. And oftentimes a lot of them came down with their people. So say like Andromedans came down to Lemuria or, Atlantis or the Alpha Centaurians. And they stayed and kind of made little camps on Earth and kind of made societies for a time. And I think there's something about Earth Soul Matrix there was this thing around Earth where if you pass away here, you stay here. So a lot of these people, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. It might not be, but
that makes sense.
I think so.
It's density. Earth is a low density. And in a higher density planet, it's easier to kind of float your vibrational state. The same thing you're describing, the way you communicate with your spirit guides is being calm and raising your vibration. Well, when you're in a low vibration state, it stops you from doing that. And that's probably why it's so hard.
Totally.
And that's why not everyone's running around saying, I'm seeing ghosts and I'm seeing spirit guides, because this is a low density planet, and that's very possible. You get stuck here, and the only way to get out, you have to work really hard, like you said, really, really hard at raising your consciousness and your density, your frequency, love.
Absolutely.
And even then there's no promises. It's a very hard to do. So that's amazing.
Yeah, but I would say probably about a third of the clients I pull up are here on the Envoy program, which consists of about 400 years in the future. Things were getting kind of hairy for a lot of the galaxy with certain beings attacking and invading. I don't know if we can say that here.
Draconian. Reptilians like Rico.
The Orion Greys and the Reptilians had started kind of expanding too much and infiltrating so many different societies that I believe the Andromedan Council was like, okay, how can we go back in time? Because they have time travel, essentially. How can we go back in time and prevent this? And it all kind of stems from when they ended up taking over Earth. Because Earth humans were made of 22 different alien races plus primates. We're actually extremely powerful. There's facets of us on every single dimension. We have dimensional consciousness that can actually raise up, where mediums, we could project ourselves into seventh density mentally if we really wanted to, you know? And a lot of beings can't do that. So we're very powerful. So anyway, I know maybe I'm getting too much into the details of this.
No, it's awesome.
That's what we want. We want details. Yeah.
Okay. So because we're very powerful, we've been very suppressed by the evil extraterrestrials who've infiltrated our planet, the Orion Greys and the Sakar Reptilians from Draco. They're gone now, but that's a different story. But for a long time, they were really suppressing us and trying to keep us down, so we didn't recognize our own power. So anyway, what ended up happening is the Andromedan Council realized that if they went back in time and started with Earth and kind of saved Earth from this happening about 400 years in the past from where they're at, they could stop this. So they sent out a call to all of the benevolent ETs. Everyone involved with the Galactic Federation pretty much is a benevolent ET. And they were like, would you guys volunteer to leave your bodies and be born in an Earth body and be there to hold a frequency and help raise the vibration of the planet and other missions? Like, would you be there to like awaken the Earth humans and help, you know, raise frequency and raise consciousness? So a lot of beings decided to leave their bodies in stasis, or if they were between lives, some did come because they were between lives and they were just like, yeah, for sure, I'll come down and I'll be born here. But their light bodies were escorted to an Earth body that was prepared for a Starseed soul, because when you have a Starseed soul, it's actually a much higher vibrational soul. To make it compatible with an Earth body, every single Starseed on this planet has had upgrades done to their body. They're a little teeny bit more genetically alien than everyone else, but not by a lot. But you need that, or it wouldn't be able to hold the soul. So
it's amazing. Awesome. And yeah, Josh, any questions? I have some, but
go for it, bud.
Okay, so now with these Starseeds, and a big shout out, a lot of the things that you're saying right now, I'm sure you're familiar with Dolores Cannon, correct?
I am.
And she, in my opinion, is pretty spot on about this subject, and I know she goes into a lot of these things. So with this understanding, and you just went through the galactic history behind this term envoy, you know, where they put out a call to all, souls that were brave enough to volunteer to come here to help raise this planet's consciousness and vibration. And with that being said, you know, you said that there are a lot of them here, correct?
A lot
of them? How many? A lot. A guess. How many Starseeds?
So,
you know, we have 8 billion people on this planet. So
right. I honestly think it's gotta be at least. I honestly think it's at least 1 billion. Do you know why? Do you know why I think that? It's because 100 years ago, Earth's population was 1 billion. 1 billion. And in 100 years, we jumped to 8 billion. How many of those souls do you think are Earth souls, and how many of those souls do you think are beings that decided to jump on Earth and help? That's a big increase.
Exactly. If you go back to the beginning of our grandfathers, say Josh and I are like 10 generations ago grandfathers, there was less people here. X amount. So basically, they're Starseeds that are reproducing. Now, when a Starseed reproduces and creates a child, is that child also a Starseed, or does that open up a door for another one to come in? I don't know.
So that is such a great question. What I notice, okay, so this is maybe just my own opinion. If I'm wrong, maybe I am, but I think that so there's this thing about genetics and starseeds. So a lot of people joke that, oh, Pleiadian starseeds are all blonde with blue eyes. Why is that? Or I've noticed a lot of Pleiadian starseeds are also Native American as well. I've met all kinds of Pleiadian starseeds. I've met African American people who are like, you're a Pleiadian starseed. But I've always wondered why. So one day I was talking to Reina and she was explaining to me about the genetics. Certain areas of Earth populations have higher amounts of Pleiadian DNA naturally than other parts, like Scandinavia. If you look at Scandinavians, they look the most like the Pleiadians, because they have a lot of their DNA. And so a lot of Pleiadian starseeds happen to have a lot of Scandinavian DNA. And I think that they specifically, when this envoy program happens, they pick bodies that already have pretty compatible, lots of Lyran DNA. And then they add to it, of course. But I think that oftentimes starseed people do give birth to starseed kids because they have the certain genetics that allow for it. And also, we all have soul families. Like, we all travel through many lives with this big group of soul families. We all kind of shift roles. Like, sometimes they're your mother, your brother, your father. So if you came with your Starseed family to Earth on the Envoy program, it's very common that you came here with your family. They agreed to come and do this with you. So, yeah, I hope that answers that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I have no idea how it works, but I do know that DNA and genetics are extremely powerful, and along with that comes a lot of other things, so it lines up. Josh, you have any questions?
I have a tougher question. So You're saying the Galactic Federation and the Pleiadians have starseeds. Now does the other side have starseeds, the Orion Empire and the Reptilians?
Yes, they do. Actually, I have pulled up many clients, surprisingly many clients, who have Sakara Reptilian past lives and Evil Grey past lives. A lot of Orion starseeds are here, actually.
Yeah, they are. they are.
Great question, though. No one's ever asked me that, so thank you.
And it's a great point, and there are definitely. And when you were saying at the beginning, a good way to look at Earth, and you're out on the West Coast, it was the gold rush. You had people from all around the world going out to, the West and, the Midwest to mine for gold and stuff. And they were just setting up shop, making their little towns, getting their gold. This was a gold rush. It was a genetic gold rush.
Totally.
And you had tons of different beings coming here. And we were actually in part 1, episode 1, talking to Elena. She brought up, we asked her, why are these beings doing these hybrid programs and things like this, And that's how they take control and infiltrate planets. They use it. Whoever has the most is who is in, control. And if you put your genetics or your starseeds in places of power, when other starseeds and beings try to say, well, you're not the only one with a being on there, they say, well, look who's running everything. And it's kind of like this genetic gold rush. So very interesting. So Vanessa, now you have a lot of spirit guides and, these beings that are from another galaxy and within this galaxy as well. Have you ever had ancestors come through? Have any of your spirit guides been ancestors or loved ones that have passed away?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. So I not only have my experience, but I talk to hundreds of clients every year. So oftentimes you can have all different kinds of beings around you. I'd call your ancestors their Earth soul family, but you also have galactic soul family. But yeah, ancestors do come through. Not as often as you would think, actually. I don't know why. But usually closely related family members come through. Actually, it's really funny. Sometimes, like, great-grandparents you've never met come through. which I always find really interesting. They're like, I don't know my grandma. I was like, is she like 4 feet tall and like looks like this? And she's like, yeah, but I've never met her. And I was like, she's still concerned about you. She's still around you. She's still protecting you. But yeah, there's all different kinds of spirit guides. Typically, with the average person I pull up from my spiritual TikTok channel on, I get a lot of Starseeds, honestly. But typically, most people have past loved ones around them. Most people have like a teacher guide, which is, it doesn't have to be an extraterrestrial necessarily person. There is a school we go to between lives. It's like a spirit school. And we oftentimes have mentors and teachers from those lives, and those are usually at least one of your main guides, if that makes sense.
Okay. Almost like that takes me back to Egyptian mythology.
Really?
And, when you die, you would go through these series of events, and it seems like something else would also go on after those lessons. And it's a little different from what you're talking about, but they still talk about the lessons that you go through in the afterlife. So this idea of teaching or learning lessons in the meantime until you reincarnate again, wherever, whoever you come or whatever you come back as, I think that's a big connection there with learning the lessons, these teachers that you're talking about, and the same guides. You're saying the same guides that will be with you in that moment in the afterlife are generally the ones that are also with you while you're in your modern vessel. Correct?
Totally. And another thing, people also have earth elementals as guides sometimes, and people call earth elementals the Fae, I guess. Mm-hmm. But really, they're fourth dimensional beings, and they're a little bit more energy than they are physical. So people also have those as guides as well, which I always find really interesting.
It's almost like if something gives off energy and frequency, it can be your guide. Essentially, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, and also there's angels as well. But the guides that I'm the most excited to talk to with my clients are galactic guides. I feel like I have a very galactic frequency, so it's very easy for me to tune into people's galactic guides. And so say I'm talking to you, you're a client of mine, and you want to know your starseed origin. The reason I can tell you is because every single person, when you're born in a certain place from a certain soul matrix, like say you're born on Lyra, what I notice is that if you're from Lyra originally, you have, no matter what your body looks like, you come from that soul matrix. So your soul has this frequency that I can recognize. The Pleiadians have a very similar vibration because they're Lyran descended. So the Sirians is kind of similar to the Andromedans, is a little similar, but not as similar as the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians and the Lyran frequency is very similar.
And they share the same genetics.
Exactly.
People from Lyra, they colonized all throughout the universe, and they're essentially all the same people, but upgraded a little bit.
Yeah. But the majority of the Syrians I pull up, they have a little bit more gray genetics, so their vibration's a little different. But that's how I can, so I can check and I can ask my guides where you started out. They'll tell me, but I can even just talking to someone, I can feel your vibration. I know your soul, your soul matrix you come from.
So, like, how does someone know if they are a starseed, or their soul is a earthly soul, but it has a cosmic connection? How does one find that out for themselves?
Sure. So I always suggest, if anyone has the ability to find and connect to your soul family, I would take a list of the 12 most popular starseeds origins, write it out, and I want you to, obviously, it helps to have like a meditation practice. Find a meditation practice you like, get into it, practice when you can. Take that list of all 12, get into a meditative state. Usually takes about 15 minutes where you're very relaxed. And then I want you to go one by one and just say, all right, am I this starseed origin? And just pick one. and then go into meditation and just see how your body feels, because even when your mind is doing something, your emotions kind of never lie. Like, especially if you're remembering past lives or connecting with your soul family, you'll feel it in your body. You will feel the emotions before your mind processes it, you know? So say you're going down the list and you find Pleiadian, and something in your soul is just like, yes, like you feel it, you feel strongly. You can usually, you know, you go through the whole list and see how it feels with every single one. You can usually kind of pinpoint exactly where you're from, because you can feel what resonates and what doesn't.
So it's resonating, what you connect with.
Yes.
You know, if you see something, you're like, I hate the way that thing looks. That one don't sound appealing to me. I want to touch that, whatever that is, with a 10-foot pole. More than likely, it's not you. You know, it's whatever you resonate with for the most part. Correct?
Yeah. Exactly, awesome. And you'll feel like you'll feel it in your soul. The only way I can describe it, like you'll find your family. Like if it's your Starseed family, you'll be like you'll feel it like a feeling in your chest is the only way I can describe it. It will just click. Yeah.
It clicks.
Or at least Josh, it does for me.
Yeah, Josh, any questions about, how to know if you're a Starseed?
What do you do if you have one of the, say you are a reptilian Starseed, or what do you do? Do you seek help? Is there...
So what I've noticed,
question.
That's a great question. So what I've noticed is I've found people that have reptilian past lives that they're like shorter reptilians on a very like peaceful planet, which is kind of interesting. Okay. So not all reptilian Starseeds are bad, but something I do notice about especially people with Sakar reptilian past lives is they really struggle with selfishness in this life. Mm-hmm. And every life is kind of a new life. That's kind of the good thing about third density, is you don't remember your past lives, so you kind of get to start new, and it helps with that evolution. So you can make a different choice this time because you don't remember your last choice. So I do talk to some Sakar Starseeds, and oftentimes they just struggle with service to self versus empathy with others is a big theme I see. But a lot of them are like, I'm trying to overcome it. I want to be a better person. I want to be more there for people. But a lot of them really have a hard time because their soul matrix they come from, it's not a Lyran soul matrix. But we have a different soul vibration. And so reptilians have a different soul vibration. They have different ethics. They have different morals. So but yeah, that's a great question. I hope I answered it.
And it always goes to show that regardless of where you come from,
exactly
what you are, what
it's
soul
always choice.
Matrix,
exactly.
There's always choice. And sometimes I question that about myself, especially when my mom was in the hybrid program with the Kili Toe Court, which are Merces, part of the Orion Empire, messing with my mom's genetics and creating babies. It kind of makes one wonder, like it don't matter where you come from or how you got here. You have a lot of different things within you. Generally, it's not just one. And you can be whoever you want to be. And if you are related to Draconian reptilians, it's time to rebel, stand up against them, and evolve for your entire species. So
absolutely.
Or at very least, just become a junkie like Rico and just dive into Drano.
Yeah, Drano all day. At least, and because they are very self-seeking beings, and I can definitely see how that struggle would come out there. That's really interesting. And for example, what are some emotional signs for Starseeds? What are some emotional signs that a Starseed would have versus, people that may not be Starseeds or unaware? What are some emotional signs and things you go through if you're a Starseed and you're unaware of it?
Absolutely. So oftentimes Starseeds kind of feel like, a lot of them, I talk to so many people, they tell their mom when they're kids, like, this isn't where I live, this isn't my home, you're not my family. Like, you can have things like that. You can feel like maybe you're just different and you don't quite understand societal norms. But the biggest thing I noticed with Starseeds is they're very kind of mentally progressive and a little bit more leaning towards compassionate understanding. And I think that's because there's so many different kind of Starseeds, but this is like one thing across the board I notice. Oftentimes, because they come from a society, like say Era and the Pleiades where I come from, we come from this beautiful society where everyone just helps each other, there's no money, there's no everything, and we've understood this level of love and cooperation. So we come to Earth, even though we don't remember our memories, we're kind of inclined to be like, oh, why don't we all just help each other, you know, because we've already lived in that fifth density, sixth density consciousness. So we come here, we're still that soul. We're like, I feel like there's better ways to do this. So one thing about Starseeds is you want to help others and you just have a compassion and you're like, why don't we all just help work together, you know?
You hate competitive sports. I've heard that in Pleiadians, they do not have competitive sports. They have games. They have games, but they don't have competitive sports. Am I right on that?
No, you're 100% correct.
That makes sense.
So
if you hate sports, you may be a Starseed.
True. But it's just generally they're very more compassionate people. I notice a lot of people with blue auras are Starseeds. Just in my own experience, blue, green, indigo auras are Starseeds. I think that indicates a little bit more soul wisdom and compassion as well. I want to also talk about earth seeds because people don't really talk about them, but I've pulled up a lot of clients who are earth seeds. And something I notice about an earth seed, it means that you come from Gaia's soul matrix. You've only ever lived on earth as a soul. What I notice about the earth seeds, which I find really interesting, is that the good thing about them is they're very able to connect to earth energy and ground a lot more than starseeds. A lot of us starseeds get anxiety, we get fidgety, we get like we can't fall asleep at night because we're
away from home.
Well, yeah, but also when you're a starseed, you're a little bit more connected to cosmic energy. So you have galactic guides talking to you, whether you realize it or not. You're facilitating more cosmic energy in your body. So all starseeds, we need to ground to the earth a lot just to feel normal. Earth seeds do that naturally, much more easier than us. They're very, the earth seeds, they're very about like what's in front of them, family values, company, a good time. They're very good at living in the moment and not in their head as much, which I really enjoy about the earth seeds. But one thing that's not really a negative is just how they are is earth seeds are a little bit slower to change. They're younger souls than starseeds. Every starseed out there, Earth's only been, having earth beings on it for like 100,000 years. So their souls are just younger, and so they're not really into progressive change as much. They kind of like tradition, they like values, they like family, they like seeing what's tangibly in front of them. So a lot of earth seeds don't really like to think about metaphysical, philosophical, bigger picture stuff because they're younger souls and they're like, this is good, we like this, let's not change this. But starseeds, because we're much older souls, just we've had more lives off planet. Lyra was around millions of years ago, so if you're from Lyra, your soul is millions of years old. We've just gotten to a point where we have gotten a little more used to change. We're a little bit more used to new ideas, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Josh, you got anything?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about animal spirit guides. Do you deal with that at all?
Yes, I do, but usually if it's coming to me as an actual, like it's appearing to me as an animal, that being has a higher consciousness than animal consciousness. So it's not like, so I'll tell you this. If say you have like a dog spirit guide that comes to you in your head, that even if they appear as a dog or a crow or a raven, they're a higher consciousness because animal consciousness is a little bit below ours. It's more of a kind of a group consciousness, to be honest. So human, like dog consciousness, real dog consciousness, and human consciousness is a little bit different. So usually I notice that your guides are usually a consciousness that's human or higher. So they can just appear that way. But this is just, this is only going off, I've never read this. This is only going off my own personal experience as a medium. But if you do have a dog that's passed away, dog spirits can visit. So I'll be like, yeah. So they'll be like, I'll be like, oh, so there's this like white and black dog that I see at the foot of your bed that they're showing me pictures. And she's like, oh yeah, that's my dog that passed away like 10 years ago. And I was like, did he always hang out at the end of your bed? And they'll be like, yeah, he did. That's exactly where he slept. So if that makes sense.
So not guys, but definitely ghosts. And
Ghost
if you do
spirits.
see an animal, guy is some sort of higher being taking
That's
the
presenting
form of an animal.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion. I don't know what other people say about that.
Well, going to the extraterrestrial phenomenon, you know, a lot of these screened memories, people are encountering animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're seeing animals, then they have hypnosis, and they realize these are actual beings that were portraying themselves through telepathy or whatever, screen memories to, you know, see animals. So if the bad ones are doing it for, you know, certain reasons, I guarantee, you know, positive ones are doing it. So, you know, especially if it's a positive spirit guide or extraterrestrial that may look a little strange but good heart, they may take the form of your favorite animal. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. So speaking about screened memories or maybe past lives, I kind of want to explain to the audience how maybe you can work past screened memories and past lives, because I help clients with this. So
awesome.
One thing I want to explain about memory is when you remember something, you usually remember the emotions of it. So think of like all the memories in your childhood that really stand out. It's because you were feeling something very strongly. It's not like you remember tying your shoes necessarily, but you remember like if your grandma died. So if you want to start remembering, if you think maybe you have blocked memories or you just want to remember past lives, every day get in the habit of telling yourself, I remember my past lives, or I remember any memories that have been screened. Now is the time. I'm ready, guides. I'm ready. I want to remember them. I remember them. And if you just, every day when you're in the shower, just as part of your routine, be like, I am remembering all my past lives and I'm remembering any screened memories. And what's interesting, if I can talk about a personal experience I had, is I had a memory come through of when I left the Pleiades, I had an adult son. And every time I thought about him, so that memory came through to me, and I started bawling my eyes out because I was like, even before my head processed it, my heart felt it. So oftentimes when these memories come back, even before you're mentally thinking about it, the emotions hit you first so strongly. And I remembered him, and every time I thought about him for a month, I'd start bawling my eyes out like uncontrollably. And I don't really cry about a lot of stuff. Even talking about him right now is kind of making me like feel some things.
Real quick, just to understand. So your son, was this going back to the Starseed idea of you know this? You volunteered to come here. Was this your son that you had before you volunteered?
Yes. So when I left the Pleiades for the envoy program, I was a middle-aged Pleiadian woman. I think so I asked my guides, I think I was about 370. And
That's old.
I know. And I chose to come to the envoy program, put my body in stasis to be born here, but I left an adult son of mine who has I think he has kids, actually. I think he's got 2 little girls. But what's funny is that
probably 300 years old now.
I don't know, but it's funny. I don't know if telepathic communication does not go that far, but I can't telepathically talk to him. I don't know if maybe in the envoy program they kind of cut you off from your home family because it'd be too hard, because I could totally get that. Sometimes your guides don't let you remember stuff like past life memories if they're harmful to you. I see that in my work all the time when they ask about something and the guides are like, I can't talk to her about that. So, but yeah,
it can do more damage, and it can distract you from the whole reason you came here to begin with. If you're here missing that, you're not going to focus on the mission of raising this planet, you know, and you're going to just want to go back, and you're going to get all upset and hate it here and fail your mission, essentially.
Yeah. You know, You know what's funny though about when I found out I was like a middle-aged Pleiadian woman when I came here? I hated being a kid. I was so not into it. Didn't like the kiddie stuff. Didn't like kids movies. We'd go to the library when I was in elementary school, and I'd check out like scientific textbooks to be like, this is interesting. I was such a weird kid. I didn't like. I was already like an old woman when I was a child. I was like, I'm not into this.
Wow. And Josh, do you have any questions, Bob?
Yeah, to bring it back to the paranormal side at all, did you ever help anybody cross over?
Let's see. I have not had that experience yet, actually. I've talked to people about how to cross over someone in their house, because I think, especially if there's a being in your house, it's more important coming from you.
Yes.
So I've talked clients through how to do that. And if I can just tell you guys real quick, if you want to cross someone over, we all have this ability to create this like vortex at any time. In fact, if you wanted to like unalive yourself, you could do this astrally, you create this vortex and jump in it and unalive yourself if you want. Don't do it. But we have this access. You can imagine, yeah, you could technically. I think that's how higher dimensional beings, like my Arcturian guides, I think when they want to cross over and leave the body, I think they explain to me that's what they do. They do a little portal and they go through it and they leave their body, if that makes sense. So you can imagine creating a little portal in the floor and tell, like, speak out what you're trying to create, because words are powerful. Be like, I'm creating this vortex for you to go to the other side, to meet with your family, to meet with your guides, and then tell them like it's okay to let go, it's okay to be safe, like it's okay, you don't need to be here anymore, I have this portal for you. Because some of those spirits are confused, they don't know where they are, so you explain like you're dead, you need to go to the other side, it's where you need to go, and you make this portal for them telepathically. It helps, and then they go.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
Any final words or thoughts, for those, who are just starting to learn that they're Starseeds and what they need to be focusing on, and, any sort of, how it feels to be in tune with these things and etc., positive message for everyone out there, and then followed by ways for our listeners to get a hold of you.
Okay, yeah. So first off, for everyone out there on this journey, you are not alone. I have, 33,000 people who follow me, and I talk about my Starseed experiences all the time. You're not alone. There's many of us here, and even though this is a hard, dense plane, we're here to kind of hold the light, bring the light, and just show a different way of being. So we're all here for a reason. And again, you're not alone. Reach out to your community. Like, I know Spiritual TikTok has 1 million awesome people that I follow that really just kind of make me feel like, yes, other people deal with this. This is wonderful. I'd also like to say every single one of you out there has your own personal guides that you can connect with. And if you're a Starseed, you have galactic guides. And to be honest, I think every single person does have galactic guides. And I'll tell you why. Because time doesn't matter. I can actually see past lives for clients. I can see future lives for clients. And I can actually pull soul family from any one of those lives, right? Earth isn't going to be around forever. So eventually, every single being on this Earth right now is going to go to another planet eventually when Earth is inhabitable in like maybe 1 million years. And you're going to have future lives with Starseed family. So potentially, every single person out there has galactic guides. And if you want to connect with them, I just want to mention, please do not go out and just ask to connect with anything. That's not safe. I would never do that. If you want, it's not safe to just, there's so many malevolent beings out there. Do not do that. But you have the power to sit in meditation, put protections around you, at least a white light barrier, maybe your Merkaba light body. Ask your guides, call in the angels if you want. You have the ability to be like, I am here to connect with my star family, my own personal star family that's coming, loves me, cares about me, and try to connect. And all of us can do it.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
And then if you guys do want to get a hold of me, if you ever want to do a psychic medium session or have me do your starseed origins or go into past lives, I have a website. It's a Calendly. I'll probably just have you put the link if you don't mind.
It'll be in the description. Mm-hmm.
I'm also on YouTube now. I just started it a little while ago. I'm Vanessa Crystal Consciousness. And then on TikTok, I'm Crystal_Consciousness. So if you guys want to reach me there, I try to respond to all my comments. If you have any questions, feel free to bring them on my way.
Yes, that's awesome. Everyone get over there in the description. Go down there. You'll see all of Vanessa's contacts, information, TikTok, YouTube. Also, you will see Josh's information as well. And you will also find my information. So if you want to get a hold of anyone that's on the screen right now, you go into that description. Actually read it. I put a lot of good stuff in the description. So everyone actually look at it and go check out her TikTok. It's popping.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Of
go
course.
ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to have one final message I've gotten from the Pleiadian, my Pleiadian guide this year, for this next year upcoming. I just did a TikTok on it, but she had me pull some cards, and she explained to me what she meant. She said, so the Pleiadian message for this next year is that we all need to come together. I pulled the Harmony card. We all need to be working collaboratively with each other. And the biggest thing my Pleiadian guide talks to me about day in and day out for my whole life is my vibration. She does not shut up about my vibration. So she explained to me that if you want to hold a high vibration, you need to be coming from a loving, compassionate place always. And even you can get upset, you can get frustrated, you can get mad. But as soon as you feel those emotions, because it's good to feel the emotions, taking it back to, okay, this person hurt me. Are they hurt? Like, how can I always bringing your focus back to a compassionate, understanding place? That raises your vibration more than anything else in the whole world. So for the next year, the Pleiadians want to say that we need to come together as a society and really try to work with each other. We're creating a new society right now, and we can only do it by really not seeing all our differences, but really seeing our similarities and trying to work together. So,
absolutely beautiful message. Josh, any final words on that?
Yeah, I have. Do you have any idea what Pleiadian ships look like?
I think they're round. So I've never actually seen one in the wild, I guess. I've seen Elena Danon's pictures, but I have been mentally projected inside of Pleiadian ships because they pull me out astrally sometimes, and they're big and they're round. Mm-hmm. Some of them are smaller that I've been in, but everything's very like round shape. There's no corners. Another thing too, I have a past life memory on Era, and I'm walking through my big garden to my house, which is kind of very small. It's not like a mansion or anything. It's like a shack, but it's not square. It's like earth shaped. It's like rounded, and I think it's like a light cream color. It was nighttime. But yeah, they don't do like corners in any of their architecture.
It's honestly really awesome that you say this, and this is something that comes into play with my job. Actually, with welding, is that it is really hard for traveling in planes and stuff with corners. They originally used to put square windows in planes, and it caused them to crash. And it took them like 20 years to figure it out. So when you go on a plane and you see it's round, it's because it holds the welds better.
That's awesome.
It's structurally more sound.
Yeah,
but it's harder to do.
Yes.
True.
So interesting. Wow. That I'm glad I let you ask that question, Josh.
Right? Josh,
awesome.
we need more questions from you next time.
He's a welder guy. So yeah. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. And everyone out there. Make sure you go to the description, check out the links available. Make sure you check her TikTok out. It's awesome. She's putting up tons of stuff constantly, all the time, different messages, readings, and valuable information. And Vanessa and I, we did an interview a long time ago on TikTok. We've been friends for, it feels like, about a year at least.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, around there. And I really appreciate having you on. And Josh, my good friend, I'm glad you got to meet Vanessa and got to hang out, ask her a couple questions. And yeah, episode 2, we did it. So I'll see everyone next time. And remember, we are the Disclosure. If you have experiences or if you have questions about what Vanessa is saying, or you have something that relates and you understand what's going on, please reach out. We want you to share your experiences. You can find an email for Josh and I in the description. If you have an experience or you have a story or a message, please contact one of us, and we would love to help you get your story out there. That's what we're doing. So we are the Disclosure, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Peace. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to set a reminder for up-and-coming videos. If you have had an experience, please email us at orderoflight777@gmail.com or wearethedisclosure88@gmail.com. If you would like to contact our special guests, information can be found in the description. Make sure to check out the We Are the Disclosure podcast radio on Anchor FM. For additional information, socials, and online store, go to the Direct Me link in the description. Whistleblowers, experiencers, and contactees of all backgrounds, now is the time to come forward. Please subscribe, share, and give the video a big thumbs up. We are not waiting for the disclosure. We are the Disclosure. See you next time.